Hello everyone, today's video I hope will be helpful. It's going to be about separation anxiety. This was a requested topic, so especially for those who needed to learn about this, I hope you find this useful in your practical daily lives. So, stranger anxiety actually starts usually between 7 to 12 months. And that's right around when the baby begins to recognize, I don't know those people, I do not want to go to those people, and I certainly don't want to be separated from my mom or dad or parent or caregiver. So it is often a tricky time to begin daycare between 7 to 12 months. You may want to start it before then, after then, or gradually work into it so that the infant becomes familiar with the caregivers at daycare. The stranger anxiety piece can peak around 18 months, but it's still present often at 2, sometimes at 3, depending on the child. Now, the separation anxiety part can persist even into elementary school easily, sometimes past that, especially if there's an anxiety disorder in an older child or teen. So let's talk about these different stages and some things that you can do to help. I have good news. Separation anxiety does improve with some preparation ahead of time, with consistency, with brisk transitions, and ultimately with age as they begin to understand what's going on and understand that you will be coming back for them. So let's talk about in the infancy period. Just like with myself, I'm more prone to get cranky if I'm hungry, right? So any infant is going to be more cranky if they're hungry, sleepy, tired, sick. So try to avoid any of those background problems on the very first day of starting daycare or needing to leave the infant in the care of someone else, a babysitting job or something like that. So let's, prep for this and make sure conditions are as ideal as possible before you have to transition care. Try to be consistent. So if you are dropping your 3-year-old off at preschool, try to have the same area that you use for the drop-off. Try to do it at the same time. Try to do it in the same way. You can even, by the 3-year-old age group, you can even start to prep them with your conversations. I am anticipating success, basically, is what you're telling them. I think tomorrow is going to be a wonderful day and you are going to enjoy preschool so much. And I foresee you doing great when I drop you off tomorrow at preschool. You're going to love it. Now also remember that the older toddlers can already understand that if they scream or have a fit or burst into tears, first of all, don't deny their feelings. That's so easy to do as a parent. You're not scared. You have a great time at preschool. Wait. Never deny their feelings. Those are just words to live by. I'm sorry you're scared, darling. But then you can offer reassurance. Mommy is coming back. So be consistent, don't deny their feelings, but also don't let them manipulate you. If they have a fit and you just keep coming back to check on them, you're just making this worse. This is sort of like that whole rip the Band-Aid off idea. I know I have worked in the church nursery before, and it would drive all of us out of our minds when a parent whose child had a difficult transition but had finally settled into playing and looking around and let us hold them and was happier and playing with toys, the parent came back to check on them and just sent them into, a tearful, pitiful episode all over again. That was unnecessary. So once the transition's been made, be consistent. If they think their tears are going to bring you back, then they're just going to have tears longer. It's like almost like rewarding a tantrum. If you reinforce the behavior, you're just going to keep seeing it over and over again. So we don't want to reward the behavior and thereby accidentally reinforce it. So do make these little transitions as brief as possible so you anticipate success. You try to be consistent. You don't change the rules just because of the tears at the time. And mind you, I'm really bad with tears myself. This is why we got stuck teaching the 3-year-old Sunday school class for 20 years because our own 3-year-olds didn't want to leave, so we'd stay with them, and then what do you know, we're the teachers. But it's also why we had a family bed when our kids were younger, because if they wanted me, I wanted them to have me. So at least you know your baby really loves you if they don't want to separate from you. But certain things are important to separate from, like Sunday school or preschool or spending some time at a loved one's home or whatever the scenario may be. So be consistent, be loving, give them all of your time at that transition time. That's important, and all of your attention. So if you were scrolling down your cell phone and they're screaming and trying to hug your leg, you're like, it'll be fine. You were fine yesterday. You'll be fine tomorrow. You'll be fine today. They see right through that. They need to know that you believe them, that you hear their pain and their hurt feelings, and that you are going to come back for them. So reassure them, remind them of that. And you can even try to explain when you're returning in their language. So it wouldn't be helpful for a 4-year-old for you to say, I will be back promptly at 2:45. They can't tell time yet when they're 4 years old. But you could say, as soon as you finish eating your afternoon snack, Mommy will be back. So you can help it be more relatable in terms that they can understand. And the older the child gets, the more useful it can be to do the anticipating success strategy. I'll even sometimes, we see this a lot, a car rider child for maybe 1st or 2nd grade that has a really hard time with separation in the morning. And remember, the older they get, this could actually become a concern of an underlying anxiety disorder. It is not a concern as far as an underlying issue in an infant, toddler, preschooler at all. But in an older child, I would really use that anticipating success. I would also remind them of past successes. For the last 2 days, you did a great job and you were able to get out of the car, and I was so very proud of you, and there was no crying. I think you're going to be able to do that today as well. And the other thing is, sometimes with the older children, not in a bad way, but almost in a reassuring way, you could even do a little bit of a let's play the worst case scenario game and say, if Mommy's car wasn't in the car rider line this afternoon after school, what would happen? Would you be all by yourself? Well, no, Mommy. Miss Johnson is one of the car rider line teachers. She would be out here with me. Well, what would Miss Johnson do? She would take me back to Miss Stewart, my regular classroom teacher. Does Miss Stewart have Mommy's phone number? Yes. What would she do? She would call you. And then what would I do? I would wake up from my nap, or if I was stuck in the grocery store line, then I would come get you. So even if you could play that worst case scenario game, the child hopefully would see, I am coming back for you. It's going to be okay. So I hope these tips were helpful. Be consistent, be brief in the transitional time, and it's fine to call the classroom teacher, or if they have an interim video monitor, to check on them, but don't let the child see you checking on them, because then it's just going to start the whole thing over again, and that's not really helpful for anybody. So I know these were just a few quick things, but I hope they can be useful for you. Thanks. One more thing, I forgot to tell you, one of my favorite things is having a little goodbye ritual. So you can draw a smiley face in your child's hand with a Sharpie, so when they miss you and you're gone, they can open their hand and see the remembrance of you. You could laminate a small picture of the parents to leave with the child in their backpack at preschool or daycare during the day. There are all sorts of little rituals you can do, and you want to be consistent even with that part. Like at the transitional time, if you need to say, you know, when we say goodbye, you get 3 hugs and 4 kisses, and then every day you try to do that in the same way. And they can even have a transitional object with them, like a small teddy bear from home that they associate with you, so they could look into their backpack and maybe rub that little teddy bear and feel better, or look at their hand, and that can be a reminder of you there. Being able to look at your picture can reassure them throughout the day too.